The Budget Department has released almost 375 million pesos to the Department of Social Welfare and Development for the resettlement of families living along major waterways in Metro Manila. The government is offering 18,000 pesos per family who will agree to leave the danger zones. We have in the studio the Interim Shelter Fund Project Manager designated by the DSWD, Mr. Martin Perfecto. Good morning and welcome to Solid DAYBREAK. So first off, of the 19,000 informal settler families, how many have already successfully transferred?
Well, the DSWD is a member agency among many other government agencies, the National Technical Working Group. And now as regards the operations, we had just started actually. There's an entire process involved before we actually resettle these ISFs, these informal settler families. So right now, for example, we have started in the cities of San Juan and Quezon City along the San Juan River because there are 8 major priority waterways that we are focusing on for this year that amount to about 19,440 families.
Okay, so the DSWD's role is to help them transfer and to release the 18,000 per family.
Yes, in this entire process, the DSWD is involved in several steps, one among which is the validation process, wherein we ensure that the ISFs that we are really focusing on are the ISFs that should be included. So we even use technology for this. We were using the biometrics technology alongside MMDA, so that when we actually disburse, give the 18,000 pesos to the ISFs, we will also use that same technology for them to log in and to actually document that particular transaction.
So how many have transferred already?
None yet, actually.
None yet?
Yes.
Okay. So nobody has received yet the 18,000, not yet?
No.
Okay, what are the major hurdles that you are experiencing with the relocation of these families? Or maybe expected hurdles since you haven't relocated yet?
I guess the biggest hurdle is history itself. The reputation, so to speak, of ISFs being resettled elsewhere, usually off-city, and then coming back to Manila. Now, that is why we are now part of this interagency effort, so that the approach towards this, the resettlement, is more holistic. So that's why you have the involvement of departments such as ours, the Department of Social Welfare and Development. We even have the National Anti-Poverty Commission to take care of what we call social preparation. So you just don't simply resettle families. You have to speak to them, dialogue with them, and then offer them options.
Is it easier now, considering that we are very much aware of how dangerous their living conditions were in the past? Is it easier now to tell them about this transfer?
Well, one of the major reasons why we are into this effort of resettling is that of danger. That these actually priority waterways actually are danger zones, wherein when not just typhoons but just simply rains would cause some damage, not only to property but also to people themselves. So that's why I think many among these ISFs realize the danger that is present actually in these waterways.
And you mentioned that your goal is not just to relocate them or to resettle them, but do you have other projects of maybe since they will be going off city or to a different area, and some of their complaints is that this is not, it's far from where their place of work or their livelihood. So are you having projects for maybe livelihood to help them out in that sector?
In this effort of resettlement, actually the primary movers here, actors, are the local government units or the LGUs. Now the national government agencies like ours are there to support this effort of resettlement. So that's why what is key here really are the local government units. Aside from that, DSWD itself has its current existing program, which is the Pantawid program, the 4P, so to speak. Wherein many among these ISFs actually are the members of this Pantawid program that we have. And wherever they will be resettled, we will continue to give them services. Again, through the biometrics technology, we'd be able to track where they are.
Have you been able to successfully identify the actual families who should be relocated, should be part?
For example,
and when will they be transferred? Is there a timeline?
Sometime in August, actually. Early August, we will start movement from where they are right now to the resettlement areas.
And what will happen to those families that do not want to cooperate?
Well, there are already legal measures for that. But right now, a significant number, in fact, a majority, based from what I've seen on the ground, are really actually willing to be relocated. In fact, they can't wait to be relocated.
I understand that they have options, off-city, in-city, or
Yes.
near city, but
Yes.
how do they choose? What if everybody wants to stay in the city? Are there differences if they choose to stay in city or if they choose to go out of the city?
Well, the concerned LGU will be doing that, offering to its people the various options. Like, for example, in Quezon City, you have actually 3 options. One would be the National Housing Authority's resettlement site. Second would be the LGU-initiated project, which is what they call the Bistek Bill. And then you have what now is being sponsored by various civil society organizations, what they call the People's Plan, wherein they themselves come up with a plan. Even the site as regards where they want to be resettled is included in this plan, and it will be supported by the government, funded by the government.
What's your timeline? When should you be able to successfully move the 19,000 informal settler families?
Well, this project actually is for this year, but in a larger context, we are looking at 3 years. There is this effort to resettle more than about 100,000 ISFs, more than 100,000 families.
Oh,
But
so
for
you're
this
just
year
like-
alone, until the end of the year, we are looking at 19,440 families pending their validation.
Is the 325 million the initial budget that has been disbursed by the DBM? This is just for the 19,000 families.
Yes, the DBM, the disbursement from the DBM actually to the DSWD is for this 18,000 peso transition in what they call the Interim Shelter Fund.
And it does not include yet the actual cost it would take to build the houses.
No. Actually, this fund is actually separate from the 50 billion
That's a
that
startup
His
fund for
Excellency
them.
actually has set aside for the ISFs.
Okay. And is there a possibility that after they are relocated, that they leave the place where they've moved to and
sell it.
go back to maybe to an Estero community?
Personally, I'd like to think that there will always be that possibility.
Okay.
What we can do actually is not just simply convince them, but prepare them. Because for one, it's going to be a totally different place. But second, at the same time, also, what we call the social preparation, we really need to dialogue with them and ask them, for example, what are your reasons for your return to Manila? And right now, what is coming out from them is that most of the reasons actually pertain to livelihood.
Yeah.
So there will be efforts by our government to actually respond to that particular need.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us
Thank
this
you very
morning,
much.
Mr. Martin Perfecto. He's the project manager of the Interim Shelter Assistance Fund of the DSWD.